This will be a good one.
It'll be a good one.
Definitely a different type of process.
Cut down or freeze up.
Being a coach's son.
Jackson, of course, they keep retooling. One stone face, a hit by pitch. Oh my goodness.
Welcome everybody to another episode of the Hitting Zone podcast. This is where we get baseball topics and we absolutely crush them. They could go foul, could go behind you, but we're going to barrel baseballs and we're going to barrel topics. It's been a while since I've been on the show. I've had some things I've had to deal with a few times. Had some surgery, some skin cancer stuff removed, and I've been out of town on vacation. Had some things that you guys stepped in for me, and then we obviously had the Thanksgiving break. So hopefully everybody had a great Thanksgiving.
Had a great conversation last time with Wiggins on the show.
Yeah, that was good. I was bummed that I missed that. I love Dave. So he's a guy that I enjoyed having conversation with him. He's a high energy guy too, and he's pretty fair and honest. And so I love that about Dave. And if you haven't seen that episode, go check it out. Real quick before we get started, because I'm going to kind of switch things up for us a little bit today. But shout out to Prime Sports Midwest. They have the 2 locations now, one in St. Peters, one down in Fenton. 1550 Ocello Drive, right?
Correct.
Okay.
St. Peters.
You're going to have to help me with address. 7505. Mexico Road. I was just actually over there. I had to, and then this is why I'm a little dirty. For those of you who are judging me, maybe my shirt's a little dirty. I went and got a lift from over there.
What'd you think of the cage in there? Have you been in?
No,
with
so
it
I
since
haven't
the
gone
cage?
in there with the cage being in there.
It's cool.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get to make the grand opening, and I haven't been back since. I'm sure Crystal, who is the GM over there, is probably asking me to come get some of my gear. Crystal, I'm busy. I will get there. I promise. I owe her some uniforms too. Prime Sports does our uniforms.
They do a good job.
Yeah, working with Crystal and working with Rick have been fantastic. Trying to work with Rick while opening up the second store was a little bit tough. He said, "Hey, go talk to Crystal down there, who's the GM." But she took care of me. We actually had some issues.
Because Crystal's the GM in Fenton.
Yeah, I'm not sure if she's the GM of both. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think I'm trying to remember the gal's name over here.
Gotcha.
Drew, do you remember? We've met her a couple times. I'm so sorry.
Well, anyways, she took care of me, so it's like even being close and in house. I love that because you can connect, you can have conversation. It's not via email or text messages. It is you can pick up the phone, have a conversation, meet in person, make adjustments. But shout out to Prime Sports Midwest.
Just an FYI too. I like to do this because we've been talking with Mitchell Harlem from Goat Athletics, who is now Prime Sports Midwest, is exclusive batting gloves. Goat Athletics, goat skin, be the goat. They're coming on as a partner in our winter workout tour. Maybe some giveaways in there and stuff, but exclusively at Prime Sports Midwest.
Let's go. You stole my thunder. I was going to mention that though.
Well, I had to throw
it's my show, and he's stealing my thunder.
I had to throw the partner stuff in there. So
I was kidding.
Cross with Youth Baseball Midwest.
I just wanted to say that to talk a little smack. I don't even know if I was going to bring it up or not, but I just I was like,
that's the way we roll around here.
Yeah, I was like, he's stealing my thunder. It's a great time to let him know, like, Dodgers suck. But anyways, so Game7Baseball.com. Go check them out. Dave and Dave over there. I don't know if they still have their Black Friday deals going on. I know that's over. That's done. Over. So you'll have to,
because we did the show this morning with Dave.
Okay.
So they still have the other discounts. And
that's
whatnot.
the 50 off 5 or something like that, and all that jazz. Okay. We play some Game 7 events for our organization, and
dude,
so,
you're not in the Super 7 series. You haven't signed up. Where's your 14U team? Come on, bro. I got 2
I need an invite.
I got 2 teams already. It's there. All you got to do is go sign up now.
I'll be honest with you. I'm holding off on that because I want to see where my team's at so I can be competitive in the event.
Oh, Jiminy Pete.
I want to make sure it's the right thing. One, for your event, I don't want to put a team. First of all, I don't think we're that bad at all whatsoever. We have a good group of kids. It just so happens to be I want to make sure that the event is worthy of us. That's got to be a fair statement to say, ain't it?
I ain't saying nothing.
Well, I'm trying to recruit some teams over here that will beat the sleeves off of mine right now, and I don't.
Beat the sleeves off of them?
Yeah,
That's fine.
I mean, these
We'll
are
be
some
there.
high caliber clubs, and I'm trying to recruit over here. So
Let's get them done. We got a couple in there. Midmo, Hitmen are already in.
I'm probably going to end up
O'Fallon
joining this
Bombers
because
are in.
I'm not afraid to compete, and getting my boys down to that level is going to be my goal all winter long.
Because
We'll
I think
ready
it'll
for
be
it.
up and down. I'm not, because it's an open tournament.
Yeah.
So, we'll probably do a little bit of differentiation in there as we go through it and give a couple different divisions in that respect as well.
Yeah, and it's I think you're having 20. How many teams are you going to try to host?
We can go, I believe it's up to 32.
32.
I want to get it. I would like to have at least 28. That would be a good goal. That would be a good number.
Yeah, I know we talked about it before. It was somewhere around that 24 number to 32, and I just didn't know if you guys had settled on a number or not. But that Super 7 is pretty cool, and I guess I'm assuming, and I actually never asked this question or I did not pay attention, is that kind of building off of the other things that you guys do, if you want to talk about that for a second?
Correct, sir. Yeah, because we have our Super 7 series. We do 7 tournaments all year, and this is now part of that. That's May 30th, June 1. Like I said, Midmo Heat, excuse me, from O'Fallon and O'Fallon Bombers out of O'Fallon, Illinois. So getting a little flavor here so far. Cool. We've reached out to a lot of different people, and so boom. I know that shows only 8 spots, but I think there's going to be more than that. We only have the one division, 14U. That's what this is about. I want to showcase that. One of the things that, with the Super 7 Invitational is I want to bring in as many teams from around the area because these are the kids going into high school.
Yep.
And we talk about high school baseball a lot, and, the GAC, Kansas City Suburban, Southwest Missouri, Illinois over there, St. Louis Suburban, getting to know who are the kids? Can we identify some kids as we're going to see where they go into high school? Who are we watching? And I think this is one of those opportunities that I like to take and let's see what we're going to see in high school over the next 4 years.
Yeah, that's what I do enjoy that 14U age group, coaching in it, and then seeing the growth. That was one of the things with my current group that I have, 17 and 18U group. We started at 14U. And preparing them for high school, and it's always been about there's 2 things to this for me about preparing for high school ball. One is to prepare for making the team as a freshman, right? Making freshman ball, JV ball. If you're lucky enough in a smaller school, whatever, maybe making varsity level athletes, because we're a mid-tier group, so we don't have a league. 14-year-olds that are going to go on and can actually play in the GACs, or some of these top conferences. But you're preparing them not only for just making the high school team being relevant, but varsity baseball.
Right.
Because it's, as a freshman, you learn these programs that may have 4 teams. You have that freshman team, a C team, your JV team, and your varsity team, because you can, have that many kids. Some of these GAC schools have 100+ kids show up tryouts.
Right.
So some of them will carry a C team, they call it. And, at some point, those freshmen who make freshman ball have got to be a junior, right? And it's going to be very difficult because if there's some freshmen coming up that are legit, they're pulling spots away from some of these juniors. And, how big is your class? How big is your senior class? I'm connected with Timberland. They have a giant senior class. They have a very good junior class. And Coach Zare is going to have to make some decisions. And I'm going to assume he's going to cut some kids that are talented enough that will be impactful in his senior year. So I'm connected there because I got kids that play for me that go there, and then I've obviously coached there. So I stay invested, and I wouldn't want to be in his shoes right now. So I got to prepare for that too.
I would like to see that team because these are a lot of kids we've seen with Hayden Post, Chiodini I like at third base.
Gio, yeah.
And Carson behind the plate, Ramos. You got Swain, the big arm there. I think they got some guys behind them. I think this year they're moving into the Central.
Yep.
Because I think they'll probably be. We'll see. We'll wait and see. But they've lost a lot. Moving into the Central tells me they may end up in Class 5 this year. We won't know until right at the beginning. But that's a pretty good indicator right there. And I just haven't gone and looked at the school sizes because you can kind of gauge a little bit. But when you start seeing that kind of movement, that's a pretty good indicator of what may be to come when you're starting talking about the GAC. And I think this is an opportunity for those kids. They've been playing a long time together.
Youth all the way. I mean, that they're connected somehow, some way, and they have stayed together through different organizations. They have somehow connected through the ranks, and it's because they're good. There's a lot of kids moving on to play college athletics. I think there's something like 14 seniors that are going to be on Timberland's squad this year, which last year got a taste. And how is guys like Chiodini going to come back their senior years, and Ramos? How Richie Swain, are they going to be the leaders? It's going to be them juniors and sophomores that are going to have to step up and fill these roles as role guys. I'm excited to watch their group.
I hope Carson Ramos has spent the whole off season just having somebody throw him curveballs and off speed, because that's all he got last year and it's all he's going to get this year.
Man, I just talked about this. I'm going to throw him under the bus. I do not care. Jan, you can be mad at me. Carson, you can be mad at me. We'll get over it. Whatever. Do you remember the game at House?
Yes.
And I think it was like his third at bat. I just talked about this the other night.
He was a sophomore, right?
This was last year, so it was a junior.
Yeah.
Because it was at Timberland. No, it was at Timberland. This was this year at Timberland.
No, it was Howley did that. Hit the bomb?
No, I'm talking about when he got upset about the curveballs.
Oh, right.
And we were doing the game, and I think it was his second or third at bat, and he said something about not throwing him any curveballs. And I chirped,
fastballs.
Yeah, he's like, why can't you throw me, whatever. He said some choice words, fastball, and I'm like, because you can't hit a curveball. and granted, the rest of I guess you're on. I put you on blast here, but he's a fantastic kid. He's got a great arm. Good behind the dish. Yeah. He's a fantastic human to coach. Things like that.
The family people are.
Ramos. Come on, man.
We're going to get Carson on.
We're going to throw you curveballs because we're going to get you out.
I'm not going to throw him because he's going to crush, and we've seen him when he gets a fastball.
Yeah. So let's just take the approach here of sit dead red curveball, and when he hangs it, you bang it. That's it. It's that simple. That's simple. Anyways, I want to get talking about some topics. I think there's a hot topic. We
got to do that first real quick.
All right. You want to talk about these?
I love this.
What year is that?
I don't know.
I think they're. Anyways, baseball cards. You guys all know that I'm a big baseball card person.
These are tops.
Yep. And if you can remember these tops, for anybody that's out there, I want to say they were somewhere between.
This is from 1988.
Okay, so that was a different kind of tops card that they brought out, because 88 had a different look. But they had these oversized cards. They're like Bowman's. Bowman's used to be oversized. And for us older folks, I'm guessing 40 and above probably. I don't know if any 35-year-olds maybe know who these guys are, but
maybe.
Brian had brought in some cards of the Big Cat. If you guys remember Andres Galarraga, I'm not sure if you guys can see these. You're gonna have to
probably not
zoom in there. What I loved about these cards, and specifically baseball cards in general at the time, they always had stuff on the back of them, captions, information. What I loved about these cards is they were cartoony, like back in the old days, kind of the 50s baseball cards. They had the cartoon style, descriptions on the back or whatever. The excitement. They had things like this were like nicknames. I can't remember. So if anybody remembers what these tops were, because it was significant to why they did these. I don't remember, but Andres Galarraga's nickname was in Venezuela was Gran Gato, which was Big Cat. But he was a former Cardinal.
Yeah.
He played for the Cardinals. One of my favorite catchers of all time, little Binti Santiago. He's one of the guys that we started, doing the one knee stuff, the kick out and the throwing from the knees, the back picks in the big leagues. It's stuff that you didn't see. He was rookie of the year in '87. I actually didn't know that though. So that's his second year card. And I'm gonna save that one for last. Leon Durham.
I remember the Cubs, man.
Yeah.
Leon hit in the middle of that lineup. He could.
Let's see. He could swing it. He had 27 in 1987, which I think was unheard of in the 80s because they were like knob down, knob to the ball kind of teaching. And his nickname was the Bull. That's what I love about this. But the glasses, the
old aviators, baby.
Yeah. You didn't play with the rec specs that like guys like Chris Sabo had. This might be. Oh nope, he had played a couple years already. Wally Joyner. Was a big-time Angel for them. He hit 34 homers in 1987. This was a guy that I'd always wanted the Cardinals to get because I just loved the way that he played first base, the way that he raked. But this is one of my mom's favorite players, besides Whitey Herzog as a manager. Tommy Herr, baby. Yeah. Great Cardinal.
He's in the Hall of Fame, Cardinal Hall of Fame.
Yep. Yeah. He's got to be.
Yeah, he's got a red jacket.
He's got to be. He's hit one of the biggest home runs.
Yeah, Tom Herr, man.
Wasn't he the reason? Wasn't he the when he hit? Was it that he hit the home run and they threw all the stuff on the field? They had a giveaway at the park, like bases or something, and he had a big. Yeah. It was him that he hit a bomb and they all threw. It's in the playoffs or something. I don't think it was Ozzie, but I think it was Tommy Herr that hit the ball and then everybody threw the giveaways on the field. It's not the first time that's happened.
I think they were cushions.
That's right. It was the cushions. That's right.
Yeah. Yep.
Good stuff.
And we're going to give away, we got some giveaway stuff that we're going to be doing here, subscriber, whatnot. We got some Shohei, his first dinger. We got 5 of those. We got some tops now. First time in MLB history, 2 50 home run hitters meet in the World Series, and they were both the MVPs. We got some cards like that. We're going to give away. We got some cool stuff coming up.
I'm going to have to get you some top loaders and penny sleeves so that your fans can protect those cards because that's pretty legit stuff. I actually didn't know that was the first time 250 homer guys. I guess it's not as
it's not as common as people think it is.
We would like to think so, but you're
right?
I'm trying to think. I go back to the Big Red Machine. And I think about like George Foster, and I was trying to compare like some of the athletics back then. I'm like, I don't think anybody hit 50 bombs there anywhere else. I think George Foster
home
did.
Runs. Canseco, McGuire, the Bash brothers. They were hitting 45, 47, and that was a lot.
That was a lot. 50 is a lot.
Yes,
60 is a lot. 70 is a whole lot. With no asterisks. If you remember a few shows ago, Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame. I'll inject him if needed. If he wants to get his head a little bit bigger, 250, I don't know, 100 units.
Well, I remember when Barry was skinny and playing for the Pirates, and you couldn't hardly get Barry out.
He's still a
Barry
phenomenal
could hit.
baseball player.
Yeah.
He was always at Arizona State too.
Yep.
Such a stud. But talking about Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
I think this stuff has been a hot topic lately. We obviously know that you're a huge Dodgers fan. And so I want to bring this up and talk about the spending of the LA Dodgers.
Spend as much as you can. You got. You're talking about the syringe. I'm talking about spend as much as you can. Who cares?
Okay, well then, you know what? We're going to put the syringe in all of them so they can play for another 10 years because they are spending a lot of money on the deferred side. I think it's something like
weird.
$894 million.
Well, that was only for Ohtani on the deferred side.
No, Tommy Edman got deferred.
Did he really?
Blake Snell's got deferred payments. It's this big thing that the Dodgers are doing with deferring all these payments so that I guess they stay inside the luxury tax. I'm not sure.
Well, their luxury tax I saw the other day was $284 million. So, I mean, I don't know what that was their luxury tax. So it's still a lot of cash. I mean, you're talking about a $300 million payroll plus $284 million. It's almost $600 million in payroll.
I'm available for adoption. I don't know that
But to your question, is it good for the game? You know, we've always, I remember back, it's always been that kind of thought process because I remember when they said, Steinbrenner was spending like a drunken sailor and, it was that, oh, he shouldn't do that. Is Juan Soto going to take less money?
I don't think
so. Here's the other part of this. You have the teams who are saying this and this, but you have the union on the other side. When is a player going to say, you know what, I don't really care. I just want to go here. I want to play. This is enough money for me, whatnot. And Scott Boras is losing his mind.
It's no right? Yeah.
I mean, so you can't just say the clubs. And I'm not talking specifically just the Dodgers. I'm talking about the Mets, the owner of the Mets. He's like willing to.
Oh, yeah. Steve Cohen's.
So he's got plenty of cash. But is a player going to say, no, don't worry about it. I'll just take $100 million. Let's go play ball.
Yeah, that's not the case anymore. And I understand that players need to make their money. I get it. But my thought process is the deferred side. And granted, that's not against the rules to do this, right? So they're taking advantage of things that they can do. It makes the Bobby Bonilla day less awesome now that they're going to be paying Shohei Ohtani for the next 60 years or whatever.
Will he be dead before he gets all his money?
No, somehow he'll get it. I don't know how long. What is the deferred amount?
I don't know.
I actually don't know. I probably should have paid attention to that before bringing that up for this show. But I just think about, like, is this going to lead to a salary cap in baseball? And how would you feel if baseball did have a salary cap?
What I think it will do is yes. I think eventually that will happen because of the middle market teams, the Detroits, the Chicago. Well, and see, it always cracks me up that Chicago is kind of lumped into that. The Cubs, they're not. They don't make any money because they're only good like once every 100 years. It's true.
And you don't like pinstripes.
And I don't care. Anyway, the Cardinals, the Royals,
yep,
and Astros, even though they're in kind of Houston, they're not considered the Rays, the Mariners, all these teams, the Oakland Athletics, who have been, I love the line in the movie Moneyball. There's these teams here, then there's 50 teams, and then there's all this crap, and then there's us, how he put it.
Yeah, I remember.
And that's the way the Athletics are. They haven't spent money,
for a long time.
But they've done that to themselves. It's interesting when you're talking about baseball, you're talking about money and spending and things like that. I don't know if people remember you don't, because the early 70s, Reggie Jackson on that team, Dave Duncan was on that team, Raleigh Fingers, all of that early 70s, they won 3. I think they might have won 3 in a row in the early 70s. Maybe it was 2 out of 3. I know they were there all 3 times. Into 74, beat the Big Red Machine. And it wasn't until 75 that finally the Reds broke through, because they always they were facing off against the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah.
That Athletics team was unbelievably good.
Yeah, still one of my favorite logos, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
That
I love the unis.
Yeah. That specific color green, it was like a puke colored green, or I don't know what you wanted to call it, but yeah, that's definitely a big change from what the Athletics were growing up in the 80s for me, and then the early 90s, and then all of a sudden, even some of that time frame in the 2000s, Derek Jeter's play. I thought the Oakland Athletics were going to be that team that knocked them off, and Derek Jeter makes this phenomenal play, and Giambi should have slid, but he probably would have been safe. But at the end of the day, it's like, how far have teams just fallen off? And that's one of them. The rest of the teams, I think, can be competitive in the market. They choose not to, which Cleveland, low-budget team this year. They've done a good job of bringing in some pieces and trades and different things to be relevant. They are also in a kind of a weak division. if you will.
Minnesota.
But again, most of Major League Baseball, I think, is a mid-market group.
Agreed.
Your teams in LA are obviously, that's a massive market. The New York teams are a massive market. I think Chicago Cubs are. I don't think the White Sox. I know that they're in a big market, but I don't feel like they're a
Big market team.
yeah. They don't spend
agreed.
like that. They don't have people coming in the park like that.
Right.
But you're seeing changes happen, and I wonder if we're going to see this longevity anymore. And maybe it's going to get towards like hockey, where you got like this 4 or 5 year window. It's a rebuild. It's a 4 or 5 year window. It's a rebuild, and that's going to be the continued process, even kind of in baseball. And that's what the Cardinals are trying to do. They have 20 plus years of winning seasons, and then they had a clunker, 2 seasons ago, and it's like, well, now what? Now we're expecting another clunker because they're blowing up this team.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And they are, and you understand why, to a degree. I mean, it's a complete reset at this point.
Oh yeah,
for the Cardinals.
And it needed. I think it needed to happen. Maybe it started 4 or 5 years ago, and we could have probably avoided this major reset here. But there's also times where we've had some 2 potential Hall of Famers in Arenado and Goldschmidt, and they haven't been to the playoffs. But
right.
The 1 year and they got swept by the Phillies or whatever, those guys didn't perform. And it's like, we wanted those guys here. We were excited as fans to have them here. And then we blamed, for not having pitching and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, 1 year it was the bullpen. The next year it was the hitting. It's not clicking. So you kind of have to rebuild. But this was something happening 5 or 6 years ago. They got rid of half their coaching staff, half their roving coaching staff. So they didn't have rovers anymore. That was a big change for the Cardinals that I didn't know about until recently when Mo talked about it with Shane Bloom, Shane Bloom, when he discussed bringing those people back, and that to me is where I think the Cardinals fail the most, is they don't have these guys that were in the system. They're getting paid to just go around all the guys and help guys here and there, like other programs were doing, and so. But the Cardinals thing, like Ryan Helsley, for me, that's got to be traded.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to see Arenado out because I don't think Arenado wants to be here. If you watch him on the field, I could.
He's going to go.
Yeah, I could see him going, which I wanted to talk about a little bit.
And I saw that. I've seen some of the rumors that the big one is Boston. I don't think he wants to go to Boston. And the thing about it is, he's got a no trade clause.
Yep.
So he can say, "No, I ain't going to Boston."
Do you think he's going back to the West Coast? Specifically, I know some chips have to fall. Bregman, if he goes back to Houston, that's probably out. But that could be a nice trade for the Cardinals because they got some pitching down there in Houston. Mm-hmm. But do you think that he ends up in like an Arizona?
I honestly think it's going to all depend what's in the farm system. What is in the farm system? Because that's all the Cardinals are concerned about right now.
Do the Dodgers have the farm system?
Always. The Dodgers always have the farm system. That's the difference. Does Boston, who has what they want in the tank?
They could bring Nas back.
I think that'd be cool, right?
Well,
I'd love to see Nas.
In a Cardinals uniform, his hometown team.
But why would you bring Nas if he's playing shortstop? I don't know where he's playing right now in the Red Sox organization.
Yeah. But
you got Mason Wynn. And it doesn't look like Mason Wynn's going anywhere, and I don't see why you would. He's got to improve. I think Wynn's got to improve his defense a little bit. I think a little bit suspect there, but his bat works, man.
Yeah, my 3 teams that I think he's going to end up in. I'm hoping that like Bobby Miller, if he does go to the Dodgers, like he is going to come back to the Cardinals because I don't know that they need Bobby Miller now. I mean, I know he's good, but. I don't know that they need him, but Seattle.
Dude, I don't know where you're going to put all these guys with the Dodgers. And you got the kid that went. Now they've got a couple guys that like the River Ryan. Boom, so he's out for a year. So you won't have him back so you got to have somebody there. Bobby Miller will come back. We'll see what he does. You got Tony Gonsolin coming back. Dustin May. And I'm not so sure. I was never really sold on Dustin May to begin with.
I think he's going to be better in the bullpen than he will be in the
I agree.
starting
I
rotation,
agree.
especially with how many times he's been hurt. I know Kershaw still wants to play. Dodgers
And
should
they're going to
probably
bring him back.
Are they going to?
That's the
Rumor.
growing thought process, because he doesn't, and I don't think the Dodgers want to send Kershaw packing somewhere else. I think they want him to finish his career as a Dodger. I think these are conversations maybe that are being had. What does that role look like? What is that thought process? I think because you got Blake Snell, you have the lefty now.
Yep. You have the lefty now, that's for sure.
I mean, that's what Kershaw used to be. And is Kershaw got enough to do anything?
Yeah, he's your number 5 guy, I think. And I think he's going to have
At best.
Yeah, I think he'll have like the fake injury things, like Matt Carpenter had this year. You always he'd go like 3
He's
for
got
4
a stubbed toe.
2 bombs, and all of a sudden he's got a rib cage issue, so they can bring some young kid up for pitching or something ridiculous, 40-man stuff, and they try to manipulate the best they can. I'm so interested in this winter stuff because this is the time of the year that I love. I love August or July, end of July, and this time of year because trade rumor stuff is awesome.
Let's come back to this conversation. Salary cap. What would that do to Major League Baseball? Is it a viable thought process? Will it put parity into baseball? And that's what they wanted with basketball. That's what they wanted with football. It was about giving markets a better opportunity, and this and that. Well, baseball to me is just a different sport than basketball, football. They are team sports. But just because you pay everybody, I mean, the Dodgers had one of the highest payrolls, and it took, but you can say what you want to. It was Shohei Ohtani. And then by some, I honestly, and I told you this at the beginning of the year, even though they'd spent all this money and whatnot, I told you, I said, I just don't know if the Dodgers still have the pitching because Ohtani wasn't there. I didn't believe in Kershaw staying healthy for the whole year. I don't think they'd went out and got enough. And I said, I didn't think they were as deep pitching as the Padres or the Phillies. And honestly, and I said, because you said how many games they're going to win 100 and some. I said, I don't think they're going to win 100. I told you that at the beginning of the year. And they didn't. They won 98. And what's crazy is they were still had the best record in baseball. To me, it was unbelievable how they were able to do that. And that shows you it wasn't about the money. It was about guys that came in and did and whatnot. And what Walker Buehler did at the end of the World Series, you can't buy that. That's either you can pay. Is Blake Snell going to be that guy? Is he that guy mentally? I don't know yet.
Yeah, ego, everything.
Right?
You got to check that at the door, and I think that's what I did. I will appreciate Dave Roberts for that because I do think that, and I'm not sure that. I always thought Dave Roberts was kind of a great manager for them just because I felt like he couldn't get him over the hurdle. But to have Walker Buehler set his ego to the side and hey, let me come in and shut this down. Granted, you're in the potential to win a World Series, but he came out to be a dog. He didn't just, I'll just do it because this is what my manager wants me to do. He said, no, I'll take it and I will go dominate. And you're right. That intestinal fortitude that happens, there's still some of that because how do you get through the grind of 162.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And you still had guys dealing with stuff, guys that were beat up. You had Mookie Betts, which was phenomenal for part of the year. He gets hurt, gets banged up, goes from the outfield, goes to second, goes to short, goes back to the outfield. It's like, what are you doing with the guy? You have to be mentally tough to play. And that team, and from what I understand about that group, they have a great mental coaching staff. Mm-hmm. and a strength and conditioning staff. It's things that I think that we overlook as fans because we don't think about that stuff. No, and we don't think about big leaguers having problems because they make millions. No, they still have problems because they still care about the product that they put on the field and they're, who they are.
Freddie's son.
Oh, yeah.
In the middle of all that. having to deal, he almost died.
Yep.
I don't care. That's, and then having to deal with that as your family, you want to be there for your son. Those are the things. How do you still do that and maintain? We forget Mookie Betts was hitting like a $190 in the first part of that. He just wasn't doing anything. And everybody tell you he's in the cage just swinging 500 times. You can't do it. Yeah, you do. Get in the cage. Find it. And everyone's like, your swing looks good, baby. Swing looks good.
I can remember. I think we were talking about it on this show. I think we were talking about the predictions. Mm-hmm. And I got robbed of that home run in San Diego. And then for like 3 straight games, he puts the ball in the same spot. And it's like, I thought Profar was going to get them balls again. I was like, this dude has got to be unlucky. And they were leadoff.
Yes.
And I was like, you got to be kidding me right now. And I was like, this dude's going to, jump off the bridge or something. Because that's baseball, right? Mm-hmm. And you have to deal with that. And that's what I loved about Mookie. He did not shy away from it. He's like, man, I'm there. It's just I'm unlucky. It's like I'm putting good swings on it. It's super frustrating because he is a catalyst for that group. But that that you just talk about that in the youth side of business. And I just talked about this the other night on how the focus is always on these mechanics and telling these kids from the time they're 8, 9, 10 years old that we drive them towards the mechanical side for 10 years.
Yeah.
So they always rely on other people to help them to get through things. And at some point, what's the mental approach to hitting? And I think when they just told him, keep swinging, because that was the message, right? Dave Roberts' message, keep swinging. They asked Shohei Ohtani, keep swinging. He's in there, keep swinging. Freddie Freeman, keep swinging, right? And he did. And next thing you know he's hitting baseballs.
Because you look at a kid, a 9 and 10-year-old, and this is the tough thing, because you saw it with Mookie. He didn't strike out a lot. Mookie didn't. He's hitting the ball hard. You talked about guys like Arenado and Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt just hitting the ball on the button constantly. Bing, 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 bing. Right at him. We call it Adam's disease. Because you hit the ball right at him. That's baseball. That is the thing about baseball. It can be cruel.
Yep.
And how do you teach a 9-year-old the cruelty of baseball? How do they understand that? They don't. And that's the tough thing about it, is how do you continue to, because we all want the success. You see your buddy hits the big, I didn't get one, Mom, why? And it's a 9-year-old's mind. Well, it's not much different in the big leagues, because you want that success. You want your team to succeed. You're trying to play for a World Series. So how do you deal with those things? And I think that is the toughest thing. And I know we're talking about these things. Keep talking about Sal, but I think it goes to that. These guys are getting paid this kind of money because they can overcome that thought process and continue to succeed. That's the difference between 600 million and 100 million.
I'm a believer of that, because I think at every level that we've played at, there's elite of elites in the sport. And there's a reason why Juan Soto is going to get paid what he's got paid. There's a reason why Shohei, I'm excited to see if Jack Caglione, the Royals first round pick, he's a two-way guy from Florida. I want to see if he's the next guy that might get paid like this, because he can be a shutdown arm and a big-time hitter. So follow that guy if you don't know who he is already. Big lefty that was hoping to fall to the Cardinals, but he went ahead of the Cardinals, and we got JJ, which JJ Weatherall's going to be a dude, but the reason that I still watch Major League Baseball is because what does it take to get there?
Yes.
It is not one time a week practice. It is not going to team practice and expecting your coach to individually instruct your kids. It is the time that the parents make, which is a ton of time. It's a ton of money. In a window time, you name it, you have to be outside playing this game. Or, if it's cold weather, you have to be inside somewhere. You have to watch the game. You have to learn it. It is not as simple as, let me go get some instruction one time a week. Let me practice one time a week, and I'm going to hit 400 every single weekend. It does not happen that way. You might have a few kids that when we're younger, it happens, But in the high school levels, and this is why I love high school baseball. You practice 5 days a week. When I get my kids back on the high school side that are 17 and they've played high school baseball all summer long, I feel like we're just going to run right out of because they've been practicing 5 days a week.
Right.
Well, now all of a sudden we only go to 2 days. So what happens? The skill set goes down.
Yeah.
Right? The drive goes down. And you have, to me, it's just, I love that piece because you have to go. You have to work.
Because when you look at, you talk about salary in those respects. Here you have, I'm glad Juan Soto was still in the dugout with his helmet on at the end of Game 5. Right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to see Juan Soto at the plate.
Because he had started to tear
wanted to be there.
Yeah.
And when you got a guy that wants to be there, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And that's the difference, real quick. That's the difference when you talk about salary, when you're talking about these things. And as a kid, when you're growing, yeah, everybody, you see $600 million, Juan Soto, but that's one dude. That's one guy. Okay.
Even if it's 5 guys and fries, still.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. One guy, and the only other one closest is Ohtani, and then you have Judge, who just got, 500 and some million. But that's 3 guys. Now, you probably pick up another one, but they're just not that many of those guys. There's a lot of guys that are getting pretty good cash. Don't get me wrong. But understand how they got to that. Because it's like I said, Juan Soto wanted to be at the plate.
That's why his helmet is on.
And if he didn't succeed in that moment, it doesn't mean he doesn't believe that he would have or can.
Or will in the future.
So teaching that 9-year-old in those moments that, hey, you're going to get another opportunity. It's not the end. The world didn't end. The baseball game ended.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But that doesn't mean that you won't get more opportunities and those things will come.
I love what you taught, and you brought that up. I wasn't really thinking about that, but you brought it up, so I'm going to kind of feed off this a little bit because I don't think we do enough of this as coaches on the youth side to prep. Juan Soto's in the dugout, helmet on, hoping he gets a chance. 2 outs, helmet still on. What does that mean for his teammates? The guy that's hitting, right?
Yeah.
The guy that might make the last out. He is saying he's going to do his job. He's going to get me there.
Yes.
And we're going to take our chances with Juan Soto. Here's what I love about this. He was ready to go.
Yes, he was.
Here's what drives me crazy about youth sports, and it drives me bonkers for my own team, and we run for these reasons. I want 4 helmets on.
Absolutely.
Right?
You see it in the dugouts in MLB games.
There's a guy that's on deck.
Mm-hmm.
You're not prepping the same way if you're in the hole, and if you're the guy that's 4th up in the inning, you're doing something very different. One guy's just focusing on timing, visually feeling. Then you have the next guy that's starting to lock in more timing, and then you just got a guy trying to get loose, trying to pick up pitch sequences. And to me, that says that your offense is ready to go when you have 4 guys with helmets on. And when that guy gets on or he gets out, a 4th guy has his helmet on still. The 5th guy that would be up in that lineup would now have his helmet on. They're all ready to go. You got kids nowadays that are out farting around trying to, get a drink from their parents. They're not invested into the game. Mm-mm. And when you have one of the best players in the world that wants the shot to fail, he has probably a higher percentage of failing in that moment than he did succeeding because that's what baseball is, right?
Right.
And he had already done well in this game, so he was due to fail. So it's just a law of averages. Law of averages. Right. And so here's this guy ready to be either the GOAT or the guinea pig, one of the two. Speaking of goats, go get you some batting gloves.
There you go. Be the GOAT.
Mitchell, get us some whatever. I'm not going there. I was trying to do a great little promo right there. It's not going to work probably to cut that out. But anyways, that is a nice batting glove, by the way. But just to go back to that mindset of wanting to be that guy. And I talked about it yesterday, and then we're going to wrap this show up. But yes, there's been this thing about coaches, older coaches. I wish I knew. Right? This is a common thing. Like back then, what I know now. Right? And I keep thinking about this stuff. And so last night I did a live on my Instagram, and I was thinking about this. And my thought process was, I don't know that I wish that. Because of how I was brought up in the game. I did not worry about failure. I didn't have these things. So much of this. It's the car rides home. It's the coaches. It's the pressures of wanting to be ranked as a 10-year-old. And I know that there's some really darn good 10-year-olds out there. I'm not taking that away from them. But my gosh, what are we doing? And I think about this and I'm like, well, mechanically, what would I do different then that I know now? Nothing, because I barreled baseballs. I wasn't obviously the best because I didn't make it to the next level, or the professional ranks, and so I did good enough for my high school team and my adult baseball team because college wasn't a thing for me. But I think about that and I'm like, I don't think I would change anything. Now I did want to backtrack, and I'll post on this a little bit later. I wish I would have taken care of my body better. I wish I would have prepared better. I did lift. I did those things. But nutrition wasn't a thing that I was focused on when I was younger to help me recover. I did not recover my body after I got beat up from games or if I was playing football or things like that I'm paying for right now. But the information, it's like how I don't know if I would have been an over-analyzer of information that I would have been given in today's world. And the best success that I have had lately as a coach was keeping the information simple, keeping the instruction simple. But I have conversation more than I do with any mechanical drills because I think the mental side of the training is what is needed more right now than anything. Because at the end of the day, as my dad told me, swing hard in case I hit it. Right? They're free. Swings are for free. That's what he used to tell me. Swings are for free.
You get 3 of them.
Swing hard in case you hit it. And what was the goal? It stung if I hit it on the end of the bat, or on my handle. It stung if I hit it on the cap. It did not sting if I hit it on the barrel. So logic tells me I got one of 3 spots to hit the ball. I want to hit it where I can't feel it.
And if you're using a wood bat, you're buying a new one on 2 of those out of 3.
You know what I mean? And so at the end of the day, it's like that's a self-adjusting thing, and we don't talk about that anymore.
No. Mitch, to your point, I think I see some things. We talked about this, with Dave, and he brought it up. He used the term, the company, and we rank it. You talk about ranking a 10-year-old. We rank the teams, a 10U team. Why are we playing the game? Why? Why are we playing the game at 10 years old? Of course, the competition, what is it to compete, and how do you learn? Why are you playing the game at 10U? Of course, you want to go to win the game. And I believe you should. That should be the ultimate goal of everybody. But if you know that you're not quite there where you need to be that team at the end of on Sunday, why are you playing the game? And I think that has to be the question we ask. Why are we playing the game then? It has to be that focus of what you said, learning, the mentality, the mental part of it. Because you have to go out there. How do you get better? Practice, of course, is a big component. I don't think we practice enough in the sense of the game.
Yep.
We practice in the cage and mechanics and all that, and those are fine. But I don't think we practice the game enough. Game speed. We talk about all these things. Going out, mental, the baseball IQ, which we talk a lot about. How do you learn situations? Where do I go? If you're gonna stand and watch, buy a ticket. Otherwise, play the game. You learn how to compete in those respects. You play the game because you're learning how to compete. Till you reach that place where you're competing, and all of a sudden maybe we're scratching that win here, we're scratching that win here, and all of a sudden we're beating the teams that we didn't beat before.
Yep.
Because we're learning how to play the game the proper way. We're getting that, the confidence level is coming, and we're doing the things that we need to do to make the game play well. Are we playing to our potential? Are we playing to our abilities? And to me, that's what 9, 10, 11, 12, 13U baseball needs to be. You get to that 14U level, you're really starting to think about, how good can we be? We're competing to wins because it gets important to that level when you get into high school. You're playing to win in high school.
Oh yeah, that's
because
the
you're playing
separation
for
age.
a conference. You're playing for a state championship,
You're playing for real things.
right?
And I'm not taking, again, I love Game 7 baseball.
No, it's true.
But I am not playing to win their trophy at the end of the, tournament. I don't go there to lose. I will tell you that right now.
Right.
I hate that piece to go
And
out
if we
there.
hoist the trophy at the end, fantastic.
Yeah, I'll be excited. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
Like, my guys are going to be excited. We'll celebrate, and I'll have it. And then in a year from now, I'm going to call Dave up and say, hey, can I give this back to you? Repurpose, because I don't want this stuff at my facility anymore. I do appreciate what that piece. But again, like 10, 11, 12, like 13 years old, we need to prepare baseball. Because when it starts to matter, 14s on up, that changes. The game changes. It's 60 feet. It's 60 or 90, 60, whatever you want to go, 60, 90. It changes. And you cannot take extra bases anymore. Arms are getting stronger. Kids are
Yes.
maturing. You don't have an 11-year-old that is 2 years ahead of another 11-year-old because they hit puberty a little bit sooner and they can mash an drop 8 baseballs 700 feet. It seems like, but I love that what you just said there, because what are we really playing for? And this is what I love about coaching with Coach Steve in our organization is he's teaching baseball. And he has to take some lumps sometimes, and he makes decisions on how the game of baseball is played. And I think long term, that plays better because those kids at 14, 15 years old will walk into high school with IQ.
And
it's the hardest thing to be a high school baseball coach and have to try to teach IQ.
right. Hey, we're going to run cuts today. And the kid's looking and you're like, don't you know what we're talking about? Hey, we're practicing double cuts. A high school coach wants to practice that,
Yeah, they're boring.
right?
Bunt defense.
Now, if
you
you
have
got
to in the GACs.
if you're a freshman on the freshman team and you don't know and you haven't, you got a freshman coach, but you get into JV varsity and you're that good a player, you better know.
And they probably do.
They expect it.
They probably do. That's why they're good. And
But
as a freshman,
I've heard high school coaches lament there isn't as much as you think, and I think that's the problem. I've talked with a lot of high school coaches, and it happens more than you think that these kids don't know these things, and so that's why I'm saying, what are we doing at these age levels? We're focused more on the trophy than on the salary.
the cue cards get me. I like the salary play there that you did.
Right? Because you've got a $600 million player here, and we just throw the other kids out there, and he goes and strikes everybody out and hits a bomb, and we win. Well, what about the rest of the kids? Where are they? And then, so the salary, we're talking about salary cap, we're talking about these things. Everything plays in this respect. We just don't think about these things in those things because we're not used to it. We don't think about it because it's Major League Baseball. Those guys are what. No, what do you think about with a club, with an organization? How are you bringing those kids? Because salary cap, no salary cap, I don't know that it's good for baseball. I like that. It is what it is. Our players going to take less money. What's that look like? The only thing I think it does is it prices people out of the seats, personally. So I'd love to see some of that if you could maybe figure out a way to do that, so the fans aren't paying so.
Well, that's how you're going to get kids engaged.
Right.
Is being able to take them to the park and enjoy the hot dog, because nachos, and there's this thing at the Cardinal Stadium that's a home plate. It's got nachos and beef.
Oh, yeah.
And have you had one of those? Uh-huh. It's like $12.
It's fantastic.
Oh, yeah, it is. But can you imagine if that thing was like $8, how many more we could sell?
You go, a family of 4, was it $500 to go to a ball game?
I haven't gone to a ball game unless somebody gives me free tickets.
I'll tell you. And that's where I think some of these things have got to filter into that. But going back to our, you got to have those $100 million guys, because Juan Soto can't do it by himself, and that showed up.
That's what made the Cardinals great in the 2004 to
2011.
Well,
yeah.
It's the last time he won, but 13, 15,
Yep.
They still had good teams, right? And you think about the pieces. You had Chris Carpenter as a guy, as your, Woody Williams was a guy for us in that 04 year or whatever. That you looked at that staff, and how in the world did that staff have get us to the World Series? Because you looked at that and they're like, there's not a A-level guy on that roster. but you had A-level guys on the field. So you had Rowland, Edmonds, and Pujols that could carry a guy with a 3.5, 4.5 ERA. You know, all you had to do was be average, and you was all right. There's always every single team has really good and everybody else. The everybody else needs to do just a little. The big guys need to do their job.
So here's the trivia question for the day then. Who were the World Series MVPs for the Cardinals in 06 and 2011?
Well, the 2011 one's easy. The 06 one, you might get me on this one.
And we're talking, this is to our conversation. See, all the big names, Pujols didn't win a World Series MVP.
Oh, you got me stumped on the 06. Oh, no. Man, I do know now.
Who?
I'm not going to say it. He gave it away, but definitely not the player that you would think.
Should we just leave it in the comments and let's see?
Yeah,
Put it in the comments.
Do 100%. Now, they might look it up, but
if they do, so
it was a yellow vet that he gave to his brother. Was it yellow vet? I think it was a yellow or red vet that he gave to his brother, who was also part of the big league.
No, it was the Camaro. It was when they did the rebrand of the Camaro.
Yeah.
It was the rebrand of the Camaro, not a vet.
Yeah.
Was that a thing because Transformers came out? So
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta love
right?
marketing and cross branding.
Absolutely.
I got one more thing before us, and I know that we got to get going. There's a rule that's been flirting with the internet.
It sucks.
The golden bat, or something like that.
Golden at bat.
The golden at bat rule.
Horrible.
So for those of you that may not understand what that means yet, and you haven't been on the internet or seen people complain or be happy about it, there's been a rumor or a buzz, as Manfred would say, that the golden at bat is where you could take at any situation, you get one a game, you could take your best hitter, no matter if he's up or not, and place him in that spot in that moment.
No.
Unreal.
You like it?
Absolutely not. It's
terrible.
It is, as a baseball fan, it was, I would say, a kick to the groin is what I would say, because that ain't baseball.
No. And what about, that's what we've just been talking about. You got to have all the guys.
I'm okay. Well, yeah, that's why you pay the guy. And what are you telling the young man that's supposed to be in that position as a head coach?
Yeah, you suck.
Man, get out of here. You'll change the dynamics and culture of your team in a heartbeat. So this happens in showcase events.
Right.
College coaches will come down. They will ask, "Can you put so and so in the game here in this moment?" And I've had that happen to me on my softball teams when I coached my daughter. And I've said to that coach, she'll be up in 6 spots. And I refuse to do that because it changes the culture of the team, because what it says about that one given player. Now, that coach did ask me why I didn't do that. That could have been, I had a 50-50 shot at that, right? I said, my team culture is way more important to me than making sure that kid can come up and then hurt that player's IQ or emotional mentality. That player can play.
Yeah.
Right? So, if you're not going to be here for another 10 minutes because you got somebody else to watch, let me know what else that you have. I'll lead her off next game, and you can come watch her. I'll change the lineup in the future, whatever we needed to do to help that. And I actually had that coach start to follow me because he wanted the culture. He wanted the team first mentality. And I love that piece. But this golden bat thing at bat, it's dumb. If it's to engage fans or engage youth, go back to making seats cheaper. Go back to free TV. Go back to games of the week. Give kids free tickets with A's. Have them show stop with this nonsense.
And do it on ABC.
Somewhere.
Wednesday Night Baseball. I appreciate ESPN. I get it. And all those things. But throw one up on ABC. What it used to be. Monday Night Baseball. Remember Monday Night Baseball? I mean, give it, like you said, free TV. Why not? Because I think I love Eduardo Perez and Coney. I think it's a Those guys are fun to listen to.
Yep.
Talking baseball, they're intelligent. They understand the game, and I love Eduardo Perez. He is so fun, and I love the way he brings about with the game and puts it in culturally with the Spanish and the things. I think it's fantastic.
Yep.
And I love that part of it. It needs to be out there a little bit more like that.
I think a big change for baseball would be if they can get rid of the rights that they feel like they own the athlete and the brand. I think if they let the athlete brand themselves, they could probably take maybe less money because they would make money other fashions
Agreed.
in social media. I think that's what basketball does a good job of. I
Yep.
think that's what football. Now, don't get me wrong, it gets people in trouble. Ja Morant, one of my favorite basketball players right now, can't stop waving around whatevers, and he has got himself in some trouble
Yep.
on social media. So there's obviously some issues there, but again, these players love YouTube. These young kids love YouTube. They love Instagram and TikTok, right?
Yep.
Let these players control themselves instead of you owning their rights so you can make $1 off of them instead. You know, that's their name, image,
Share.
and likeness.
Yeah.
As if we want to flip it back down to the college side. But, Brian, this was an impromptu. Cody Massey was supposed to be on. Cody, get healthy. He's under the weather right now. He's been dealing with some pneumonia, so we'll get him back on.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, he's on like 9 days in a row.
Feel better, bro.
Yeah, he went to the doctor today, but we're trying to bring Cody on because Cody's a gem to talk to. He's a heck of a man, and we'll get Cody back on. We got Shane Eames next week.
Yep.
So we're going to bring Shane on next week, so everybody loves a little.
Always fun to talk with Shane.
He's a doctor.
Great
Right,
conversation.
he's a little PhD,
Yeah, a little
Premier
PhD,
Hitting
baby.
Development. But anyways, if you've heard some things today and you want to refer back, we go to YouTube, Youth Baseball Midwest on YouTube. You can hit that subscribe button, hit the dinger so you can get the notifications, because that's what we do on this show is hit dingers. We ain't gonna do the pictures. We ain't gonna do that. You know what?
Did you hear me last week? I said that. I said, Mitch is usually hitting crushing topics out of the park. I'm like, I'm a doubles guy.
Yeah, I'm a doubles guy. I need you to get on like slow
Right.
pitch rules now. I need you to get on so I can hit run home runs. Solo shots don't
So
work.
it's
in
good. It
slow
works,
pitch.
right?
Yeah, I need you to get
All
on
right.
base and so you keep Alpo tacos and I'll just Deadpool.
There you go, baby. I love
Not
it.
Deadpool. Deadpool. Pull. I'm Peyton Manning. Not Peyton Manning. I'm debating.
We just
Manning.
officially went off the rails.
Take care, everybody. Have a great day in the Lord.
What he said.
Is there something else to that? I tried to steal your thunder there because you stole mine earlier in the show, but you have yourself a fantastic, beautiful week.